Horror has always been one of my favorite genres. It can be applied to many different situations, such as people who seem to be completely unstoppable, such as Hannibal Lecter, who uses his intelligence to outwit you at every single corner, or the brutal being that is Jason Voorhees, where even when lit on fire, will stop at nothing to kill you. Horror can also be applied to terrifying monsters such as Pennywise and It, or even the undead rising and feasting on human flesh. But horror can also be situational. Let's say, for an example, you're a group of 7 people who's just discovered one of your best friends dead on the floor. No clue why it happened, no clue when it happened, and no clue how it happened. And let's say a couple minutes later, another one of your friends dies, dropping you to 6, and then another one, dropping you to 5, and then another one, 4, and then another one, 3, and then another one, 2, and then lastly, you. All alone. This fear that there's something out there watching you, watching your every move and waiting for the perfect time to strike. It's when you start to realize that you've gone hunting, but you're not the hunter. You're the hunted. Being hunted is a fear that Dead Space does perfectly. It's able to give you this feeling that there might be something around that corner, or that there's something behind you watching your every move. Dead Space only occasionally gives you these moments where you can ponder on previous dialogue or look at an item that you picked up. The game is segmented in such a way that the farther you go, the less safe you feel. No matter how many upgrades or guns that you buy, there's always going to be more and more things around every corner. Dead Space has this massive leap in immersion that you just didn't see in games at the time.
What the hell was that?
Automatic quarantine must have tripped when the filtration system restarted. Everybody relax.
What was that? Did you...
Not sure.
What the hell? I don't know. Something's in the room with us.
Jesus! Over fire! Over fire! Trigger power! Trigger!
Come on.
Like I mentioned prior to the really long transition, immersion is key, especially when making a horror game like Dead Space. After all, the biggest thing that makes a horror game scary is interactivity. Because the feeling that you get from watching a horror movie, or even reading a horror book like Misery or Silence of the Lambs here, these only let you imagine what true horror could feel like. But that feeling is tenfold when you yourself have direct input on the situation. This plays especially well with immersion, and that's why, yes, I'm saying it again, Dead Space does this perfectly. And that's very much expected from the man who said,
"Hi, I'm Glenn Schofield, creator and director of Dead Space. I set out to make the scariest game of all time. Along the way, I had to break some rules, make some new ones, and really redefine how I make video games."
But how exactly does Dead Space master immersion? When developing the game, they decided to stick to 4 simple rules, which are no HUD, character never talks, dismemberment, and all moments are interactive. Now, I feel that these are very self-explanatory, but I am still going to go over 2 of them. With character never talks, I'm sure if you've played Dead Space 2, you'll notice that Isaac is a very vocal person.
The Makers must be absorbed!
The Makers? You mean me? But Strauss said we could destroy the marker!
Not if we consume you first!
God damn it, I trusted you! Fuck you! And fuck your marker!
The fact that Isaac never talks throughout Dead Space 1 works massively in its favor. It allows the player to put themselves in the place of Isaac. That way, it's not Isaac's adventure, but it's your adventure. That's not to say that I don't like Isaac talking in Dead Space 2 or 3. In fact, I love Isaac's character, but that's not the point. The point is that Dead Space 2 and 3 would have been much more scary if Isaac never talked throughout the whole thing. The other rule I wanted to go over was the fact that every big moment in Dead Space is interactive. The best way to describe this rule is to show you. The fact that a scene like this isn't chalked up to just be a cutscene or a quick time event really shows you just how much care was put into this game. It quite literally throws you off, and it puts you into this fight or flight scenario where you have to act and do something or you are going to die. If you die, that means you failed. And it's not a cheap, oh, I didn't hit the button fast enough during the cutscene sort of death. But that's not to say that Dead Space doesn't have these sort of deaths. However, in moments like these, if you die in this cutscene, it's probably because you weren't monitoring your health. The more health that you have during these just means that you'll have a longer chance to press the button. Anyway, I feel like I've said enough to prove that Dead Space has god-tier immersion. Now, I think it goes without saying, if your game has crappy world building, then you haven't made a very good game. That goes extra for a horror game. Dead Space does this in a way that's not exactly original, however the way it's presented is what makes it unique. The game doesn't start with opening narration, instead starting off with a cutscene of Nicole. She's sending a distress message to Isaac, telling him about how everything on the Ishimura has gone downhill.
I wish I could just talk to someone. It's all falling apart here. I can't believe what's happening. It's strange.
The video seemingly ends there, zooming out to reveal that it wasn't a cutscene, but it was rather Isaac watching it from his HUD.
Guess you really miss her. Don't worry, we're almost there.
Most of the quote-unquote cutscenes in this game take place this way. It's yet another thing that adds to the S-tier immersion that Dead Space brings. Good world building should make you feel like you're part of the world, not the world itself. However, not everything that Dead Space does is entirely unique. Dead Space also offers world building through video and text logs. And oh boy, there are a lot of them. But if you're someone like me, you decided to go and find all of them, because I apparently hate myself. But anyway, that's not the point. Most of the time you'll find a text or video log that takes place during two different points in time. One point before the marker was put onto the ship, and after. You can tell that the writers of the game really put their time into making these. So for the most part, they're very much worth your time. I could talk for hours about Dead Space lore, but that's not what I was shooting for with this video, so I'll save it for another time. I like the Necromorphs as enemies so much that I'm dedicating an entire segment of the video to them. Everything about the Necromorphs is just outstanding to me. They're just the perfect blend of everything that just makes them such a terrifying enemy. Everything from how they act and move to how they're designed is just amazing. For me personally, the scariest thing I find about the Necromorphs is the fact that you can still see so much human in it. As an example, let's take a look at this Necromorph. Now, already, I guarantee the first thing you recognize are the arms and the face. As demented as it looks, it's not hard to tell that this came from human origins. However, let's take another step up and look at this Necromorph. A bit harder to tell at first, but you can still see the arms and the face. Now let's take a look at one of the scariest motherfuckers in this game. aptly named the Tormentor. This guy's from Dead Space 2, and I can safely say it is one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't even know it had a human face until it killed me for the first time. What I'm trying to say is that Dead Space 1 and 2's design of the necromorphs is spot on and perfect. It's not the first time I've seen enemy designs like this. I mean, you can see stuff like this in Silent Hill and Resident Evil, but to me, they don't stand out like the necromorphs do. The necromorphs almost feel like that perfect blend between the two. Whereas, you can still see human remnants of it, but only just barely. However, it's unfortunate that Dead Space 3 takes all these amazing things about the game and completely throws it out the window. I'm going to keep this segment short. Dead Space 3 takes everything about the first two games and completely ruins it. Gameplay-wise, it's a completely different game. First off, one of the big things in combat in Dead Space is dismemberment, where you could shoot off limbs for extra damage, killing a necromorph quicker and more efficiently. You can still shoot the limbs off in Dead Space 3 for extra damage, but it's not as required as it was in the first two games. Meaning the only downside to shooting a necromorph in the body in Dead Space 3 is using up more ammo. However, ammo isn't even a problem in Dead Space 3, because it's all universal ammo. You don't have to worry in Dead Space 3 about managing your ammo and inventory space because of the different weapons that you have. Because in the first two games, different guns took different ammo. I understand that this doesn't seem like a very big point, but Dead Space is supposed to be a survival horror game. Another big point that I have about Dead Space 3 is that feeling of isolation is completely gone. Because in Dead Space 3, you now have the option for co-op. What made creeping around the hallways in Dead Space 1 and 2 was that if you get attacked, there's no one there to protect you. In co-op, you could get attacked and your friend just comes to save you. You never feel like you're in danger like you did in Dead Space 1 and 2. My biggest gripe with Dead Space 3 is the fact that it tries to be a Dead Space game without being a Dead Space game. Dead Space doesn't need to have amazing shooting mechanics. Dead Space 1 and 2 knew what they needed to do. All Dead Space needs to do is catch you at the right time and moment and scare the shit out of you.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. When the blazing sun is gone, when the nothing shines upon, then you show your little light. Twinkle, twinkle all the night. Then the